I am frustrated that injuries still control parts of my life. I don't feel like I'm in postpartum anymore, but the injuries that I'm dealing with, I believe, are truly from pregnancy and postpartum. And I still don't feel fully grounded in my body. I'm tired of hovering in between, and I'm just ready to level up. Today, I've got lots of things to do. I am going to basically map out a plan to hike 14 miles in a matter of 7 weeks. And with that, I also need to make a nutrition plan. I had thought about tracking my food again, but to be honest, I just don't want to do that this time around, because remember, what doesn't get measured often doesn't change. So I'm going to measure in a different way. And basically, I'm just going to map out my meal plan so that I'm hitting a certain number of different food groups each day. So I focus on 5 food groups. I focus on grains, whole grains, proteins, fruits, veg, and fats. It breaks it down more so than like macros. So macros are your proteins, carbs, and fats. Well, carbohydrates are vegetables. They are fruit. They are whole grains. So, and there's so much more than that. But it's where fiber comes in too. So, carbohydrates covers a lot, and not all of them are created equal. Just like proteins aren't created equal and fats. But anyway, I'm gonna map all of that out today. And then I'm going to sign up for the 14-mile hike. Super stoked about that. And then I am going to schedule another DEXA scan and RMR test. I had this done like 6 months ago at this point, a little bit over maybe. But I'm really interested in seeing the results from the difference in the results, if there is a difference. Because again, I feel like, I've lost 10 pounds. I think, gotten a little bit stronger, but because of my injuries, I haven't been as consistent with lifting in recent weeks. So there might be a little regression there. Now, I had told you guys, like when I started this series, how little energy I had. And, we're 6 months out from that first video, and I feel like things have turned around a lot. I'm still not feeling at home in my body, but my energy has improved so significantly. So my vitamin D numbers were pretty low. They were still normal, in the normal range, but low normal. And so I started getting outside more. I started incorporating more salmon and eggs in my diet, like whole eggs, not just egg whites. And I feel like that has made a significant difference. So just continuing to do those things. I'll map that out in my meal plan today. But yeah, I think things are kind of on track, and I'm just ready to level up. So here we go. So basically what I'm doing here is I am mapping out my meal plan for the week. And what this looks like, I actually created a template for myself so that everything kind of calculates the way that it needs to. So I'm making sure that I'm hitting enough grains, enough proteins, enough fats, fruits and veg each and every day. And I'm kind of copying and pasting different meals and just putting that, it's kind of like a little puzzle, mixing and matching each day so things don't get boring. I'm not having the same thing every single day, but I'll show you how that works out. But this is the template that I've used for all of my clients in the past, and just helping them without having to count calories or anything like that or look at that, just helping them formulate a day that is very well balanced. And just a quick comment, if you are liking this postpartum rebuild, be sure to hit subscribe. Also, if you want any of the recipes in today's episode, then just comment and I will send it your way. Okay, so the meal plan is done. It took a little bit to mix and match some things. I'm having some recipes that I've never tried before. So I'm making a shrimp stir fry, and I'll show you all of that meal prep soon. But I'm making that, and I'm making some energy balls, some tuna salad, and then salmon with roasted potatoes and green beans. So it's going to be a really great week. Next, I am going to plan out my workouts. This is going to help me get to that 14-mile goal. Now, what I'm going to do, I'm going to do like one cross training day, or two cross training days, two hiking, like short hiking days, and then a longer hiking day each week. Have a mobility flexibility day, and then a rest day. So let's get started on that. I also use a spreadsheet for this to map out, and then I'll go into the Repke Fitness app, and I'll start programming my own workouts. So I have decided that for one of my cross training days, so this is like an active day that is not hiking. One of my cross training days, I'm going to do weightlifting, and it's going to be like lighter weights, more reps. And then for the other cross training day, I'm going to alternate between the weeks, and I'm going to do yoga one week and then Pilates another week. And the reason I'm going to do that is because yoga I love for like the stretching and the flows and things like that. It's also a little strength based, but it's so much different than lifting weights. Same thing with Pilates. It works a lot of core. I know that I need core work. I need to loosen things up. I need to get more core engagement, and hopefully that will help with the elevated ribs. All of my nutrition plan is done. All of my workout plan is done. Next, I am going to sign up for the 14-mile hike, and I'm going to schedule my DEXA scan and my RMR test. I scheduled the hike. It's somewhere in Pennsylvania. But for the DEXA scan and the RMR test, I use a company called Composition ID. They have a few locations throughout Maryland, I think Virginia, Washington, D.C., but I am going to the University of Maryland, the college, to get this scan done. That's where I went last time. And what I love is that every time I've done it, like they've always had my previous results. So they just sit them side by side and compare. Okay, everything is scheduled, everything is mapped out. Now it's time to execute. So my RMR test, my DEXA scan, that won't be until next week. That's the quickest appointment I could get. But otherwise, I can get started on my meal prep. My workouts, they'll just come as the day comes. So here we go. Okay, so our walk has begun. The goal is to do like 22 minutes in one direction and then just 22 on the way back. So I'm jogging. I've done this since before I got hurt. So just finished up. I got to 3 miles in 45 minutes. So that was a mix of walking for the first 15 and then kind of interval training after, which is going to help with endurance. So I would jog for like 30 to 60 seconds and then just walk just to bring my heart rate back down. If you're ever going to stretch, make sure that if you're doing static stretches, then that is after a workout, not before. You could potentially pull something or injure something. Dynamic stretching, where you're kind of moving in the stretch and creating like a flow, that's what you want if that's part of like your warm-up. Say hello.
Hello.
Hello. So we are eating here. So I've got an egg with spinach. I've got some arugula salad and rosemary sourdough. And then Rennie over here has some cucumber and some sourdough and some egg. So that is our dinner for tonight. That's what dinners look like sometimes, right? Can you say bye-bye?
Bye-bye.
Good morning. So Lubin and I are off to do a hike. We don't really get this opportunity too often, so it's almost 8 a.m. and we are just gonna be outside for the next hour. Lubin already worked out today. He couldn't sleep, so he got up really early and went to the gym. And yeah. So after the hike, I plan on food prepping, and I will take you all through that process and what I'm making this week based off of the meal plan that I made yesterday. So we're here. We're gonna do a loop. I believe this is like a bike trail, so it loops for like 2 miles, and then there's also like a 7-miler. We're just finishing up our hike. Took about like 45 minutes, but we are back at the base in like 3 minutes. So, Lubin, how are you feeling?
2 thumbs up.
Okay, so we're in my kitchen. I am going to be meal prepping 3 different meals today and then like a snack. You can kind of see my setup here. I have my just computer out with my digital ebook for my 21-day meal plan. I need that recipe because I don't have it in my head. And then I just laid out like all of my ingredients because it's just easier doing it like that. So I'm gonna prep everything. So just like chop everything to start, and then I'm gonna cook. Now, a lot of times I honestly like to get this stuff already like pre-chopped. It just saves so much time in the kitchen. And with meal prep, I did not do that this time. So we're just gonna work with what we've got. Okay, this is for our soup. So I'm just gonna put it with the onion. I did remember, I do wanna put some celery in the tuna that I'm making, just to bulk it up with a little more fiber, a little more veg. I'm gonna chop carrots next, but just a quick tip. When you have chopped carrots or chopped celery, you want to submerge them in water when you store them. It will keep them nice and crisp and keep them from getting flimsy and just like, you know, just not fun to eat. Okay, so this is for the soup. Just gonna put it with the celery and the onion that I already chopped. Okay, so we've got these. I'm just gonna fill it up with water and then seal it and put it in the fridge. Now, I need to chop things or get things together for the shrimp stir fry that I'm making. I've got my bell pepper here. What I'm going to do is chop this up, or it's sliced, which is easier. Okay, so what we're gonna do, if cutting a bell pepper, to avoid getting all of those seeds, I like to cut around the top, twist it off, and then most of the seeds come out, and you've got a pretty clean inside. These I'm gonna actually store with my cucumber. I'm gonna slice up some cucumber. With these, you want to line a Tupperware bowl, whatever, with like paper towels or something like that to soak up any moisture. That's what keeps these fresh. My broccoli is already chopped for this recipe. I don't think I need anything else. I'm gonna chop this up into sticks, and this will also be for like kind of those grab and go veggies throughout the week. So I had mentioned making sure to line your container. This thing is so cracked, it's not even funny. Line your container with paper towels, and that's gonna help soak up like any moisture coming from cucumbers or peppers. Just adding those bell peppers like back into here. We are going to put a paper towel on top, put a lid on it, put it in the fridge. Okay, so I've got my sheet pan. Now this is a non-stick pan, by the way, but what I'm going to do is actually line it with foil so it's less cleanup. I've got my soup on the stove while these are going. These are gonna be in here for like 20-25 minutes, maybe a little longer. So that is that. So we've got 2 meals going essentially right now, and we are only an hour in. So my goal was to have everything done in 2 hours. Almost there. Here's the tuna, super easy. So you can see this turned out like really nicely. Just adding in the rice and some lemon juice and it'll be good to go, and we'll portion it out. Next we have our shrimp stir fry. And to be quite frank, I don't work with shrimp all that often. When I get shrimp, it's usually out at a restaurant. So let's see what we can do. Okay, so here we go. We're just gonna let this go for like 3 minutes. So the stir fry is done. I'm just gonna show you what it looks like at the end. I am gonna pair it with rice, but I'll probably just use the 90-second rice throughout this week because it's just easier than making my own right now. Okay, we are down to the final recipe for the day. So we're gonna make some energy balls. Okay, so I am done with meal prep for the week. Everything is ready to go. I actually did a little bit more than what I anticipated. So in just 2 hours, I made potatoes with green beans, roasted those. I did tuna salad. I did a lemon and chickpea and rice soup. I did a shrimp stir fry. I did, what else did I do? Energy balls, cut up veggies for the week, like lots of meal prep. So I will note that, it took 2 hours to make all of this stuff, but if we break that down in the course of a week, let's say 6 days, even though some of this will last me 7, but let's say 6 days, that's 20 minutes a day for meal prep. That's not too bad. The hike is on the calendar, the nutrition plan is in place, the DEXA scan and the RMR test are scheduled. Now I get to see if the numbers match the effort. Next week, we'll find out.